Today, in 1971, showing signs of disuse, this doorway to a hole in the ground was a very important factor in the lives of the local residents during the times they were obliged to live under the shelling of the Syrian gun emplacements just over the top of those hills. Can you consider your home just a few doors down from your assigned bomb shelter? The people of the Kibbutz Maagan not only considered it, but experienced and lived it. This entrance shows continued upkeep, which is understandable when you realize that they lived within walking distance under the shadow of those Golan heights. The kibbutz is one of many in the Galilee area and is strictly agricultural, dealing primarily in bananas. At the time I was there, a few people were about, most being away on the job. Some of the cottages are shown here with the heights of Golan in the background. It was at one of these cottages that I had the pleasure of meeting one of the officers of this kibbutz, Dr. Yehiel Ben Yosef. Dr. Ben Yosef had been here just about from the beginning of this kibbutz, and as such enjoyed the use of a very pleasant bungalow, well equipped. Prior to June 1967, this kibbutz was close to the meeting of Israel, Jordan, and Syria. It was right under the gun emplacements of the Golan Heights. This led to some rather hair-raising experiences for the residents, such as the time Dr. Ben Yosef had his small son at a children's center when a shelling started, with the nearest bomb shelter halfway across the grounds.
Before I went to sleep, when a shelling came on my kibbutz, I ran to the children's house. I took my son to the bomb shelters, and from this time we decided that every night the children will sleep in the bomb shelter.
Dr. Ben Yosef neglected to mention what he had told me earlier, that he was running a regular gauntlet of exploding shells on that run to the bomb shelter with his boy. As was done in many places in Israel, the shelters were painted up with nursery pictures to give as much cheer as possible for the children who had to live there. For during the Six-Day War, that is what they virtually did. The shelters are built in sections, as you can see here, each of which can be sealed off. When necessary, they had their own battery-operated power supply and had precautions against gas attack. Can you imagine the strain of having to live under such conditions? Consider a hill area near your home being in the hands of an unfriendly group who, on various occasions, would lob explosive shells into your neighborhood. Wouldn't you think it's time something be done about it? Those are the heights of Golan in the background. From 1967, they have been in the hands of Israel as part of the occupied territory. In the foreground is the park-like terrace in front of the recreation center of the kibbutz. The center itself is a complex of theater, movies that are free to members, and many other facilities. Life in a kibbutz is certainly not one of hardship. The people who live this life do so of their own choosing. They are as happy a group as you will find anywhere. It is a life of hard work with the hands. A main crop of Maagan is bananas. A resident is measured here by the measure of his output in the physical labor he or she does. It is not a place for the just enough to get by type of person. It is for those who enjoy work and the feeling of accomplishment at the end of the day. It looks like it won't be long before these people will be descending upon these plants for harvest time. Another trip to another destination? Not quite, as this road dead ends just a short way up, stretching through what was once just a narrow finger of Israel between Syria on the left and Jordan on the right. The Golan Heights of what was once a part of Syria are now occupied by Israel. Just to the right, at about the level of my head, you can make out a small Jordanian village. Carl cautioned me not to step off the road, something to do with that little sign.
Be careful, the sign is a warning. There are mines there to keep saboteurs from infiltrating into Israel.
Today, of course, Jordan and Israel are at peace. Even after the June 1967 war, Arab guerrillas would sneak through this area on a mission of sabotage. Israel would retaliate with the destruction of the canal you can see here. The Jordanian farmers and those in the villages, such as that up on the hill, raised such a howl with their government about the cutting off of the water that Jordan put the squelch on any such activities by the bandits, and Israel has left the waterway, built with American funds, alone ever since. It is now dusk over the Galilee area and the valley of the River Jordan, and over Israel, land of so many contrasts. And in a way of speaking, over my visit, for the 6 days I had for this visit are up. And so it is with reluctance that I must leave Israel and Carl and his family. It has been a hectic 6 days, running the length and breadth of the country, and yet it has left me with the realization that I have only touched on a small part of the variety of this fascinating land. Israel may be a small country, but it is a rich land, rich in the contrasts of the antiquities, its living past, and throbbing present.